Hold out your hand for a second and look at your knuckles. If they've felt stiffer getting out of bed lately, or your energy dips hard by mid-afternoon, what you're noticing isn't just getting older. It's a chain reaction that's been building for years, and if it goes unaddressed, it's the same chain reaction that eventually shows up as joint damage, blood sugar problems, or liver that can't keep up. Here's the part that matters. There are 7 spices used by cultures that had zero contact with each other, all converging on the same handful of ingredients for the same purposes. And a category of researchers studying aging today are finding those cultures weren't guessing. Stick with me, because the spice at the very end of this list is the one people are most surprised by, and I promise we'll come back to it. So why do these 7 matter more once you're past 60 than at almost any other stage of life? 3 things are happening in your body at once. First, inflammation quietly climbs. Researchers have a name for it now, inflammaging. The slow burn inflammation that isn't from an injury or infection. It's just aging itself lighting a low flame under everything. Second, your digestion gets less efficient, meaning the same plate of food yesterday and today doesn't give you the same nutrients. Your body is absorbing less, even though you're eating the same. And third, your organs, especially your liver and heart, are carrying the accumulated wear of every year before this one, like a car that's been driven hard for decades, even if it's never broken down. That's the backdrop. Now let's get into the 7. Starting with the one most people already have in their cupboard, turmeric, for your joints and your inflammation. This is one of the oldest documented remedies on Earth, in continuous use for more than 4,000 years, built around a compound called curcumin. Think of curcumin as the off switch your body reaches for when inflammation starts running the show. Here's how it's made. Warm 200 ml of milk or water gently on the stove, never let it boil. Stir in a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder, roughly 1 gram, then add a pinch of black pepper, which is doing more work than you'd think, because it dramatically boosts how much of that turmeric your body can actually absorb. Stir in a teaspoon of honey, about 7 grams for taste, and drink it warm in the evening. What curcumin is doing is calming the inflammatory signals behind that morning stiffness, the kind that makes getting out of bed feel like a negotiation. And people using it consistently report better mobility and less joint discomfort, without the stomach irritation that comes with long-term use of over-the-counter pain relievers. Second on the list, cinnamon for blood sugar and steady energy. In ancient Egypt, this spice was worth more than gold, reserved for kings and temples, not kitchens. We now understand exactly why it was treated like currency. Take half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, about 2 grams, specifically Ceylon, not the cheap cassia variety sold in most grocery stores, because cassia carries higher levels of a compound that can stress the liver when used heavily over time. Stir it into 250 milliliters of warm water, add the juice of half a lemon, and drink it in the morning before breakfast. What it's doing is helping your cells respond better to insulin, which smooths out blood sugar and helps prevent the energy crashes that tend to creep in with age. A simple daily habit, but one with real research behind it, especially if you're watching blood sugar or managing prediabetes. Third, ginger for digestion and circulation. Chinese, Indian, and Middle Eastern medicine all leaned on this root for the same 2 things across more than 5,000 years, moving food through the gut and moving blood through the body. Grate 1 teaspoon of fresh ginger root, about 5 grams, drop it into 250 milliliters of hot water, cover it, and let it steep for 10 minutes. Strain it if you prefer it smooth. Stir in a teaspoon of raw honey, about 7 grams, with a squeeze of lemon, and drink it warm any time of day. Ginger physically speeds up gut motility. Think of it as keeping traffic moving through a road that naturally narrows with age. And it also supports circulation, helping oxygen and nutrients reach your extremities, which is often the first place people notice things slowing down, like cold hands or feet that just don't warm up the way they used to. That brings us to the one I promised, the most overlooked spice on this entire list, and arguably the most powerful, cloves for your liver and your immune defenses. Long before they were a spice rack staple, cloves were a prized trading good out of ancient China and India, valued specifically for their medicinal strength. Take 4 whole dried cloves, add them to 250 milliliters of water, bring it to a gentle simmer for 5 minutes, remove from heat, and let it steep another 5 minutes, then strain out the cloves. Stir in a teaspoon of raw honey, about 7 grams, with a small squeeze of lemon, and drink it warm once a day. The compound doing the heavy lifting here is eugenol, a powerful antioxidant that supports your liver's natural detox process and helps shield liver cells from oxidative damage. Cloves also carry well-documented antimicrobial properties, backing up your immune defenses, right at the age when your immune system naturally loses some of its resilience. And they've long supported gum health too, which matters more than people realize, since gum inflammation has been linked in research to inflammation elsewhere in the body, including the heart. One caution, this isn't a daily forever drink. 3 to 4 times a week is the ceiling, since cloves are potent enough that more isn't better. Fifth, garlic for your heart and your blood pressure. Ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Chinese medical texts all documented garlic's use over more than 5,000 years, almost always tied to heart health and physical strength. Crush 1 clove of raw garlic, about 3 grams, and let it sit out in the air for 10 minutes. This activates its most powerful compound. Add it to 200 ml of warm water, a squeeze of lemon if you want to soften the taste, and drink it in the morning on an empty stomach. What that active compound does is relax your blood vessels and reduce how sticky platelets in your blood become, which supports healthy blood pressure and lowers the risk of dangerous clots, a risk that climbs with age. It's one of the most heavily researched natural supports for cardiovascular health that exists, and it costs almost nothing. Sixth, black pepper for absorption and brain health, the quiet multiplier. On its own, it looks unremarkable, but it changes how effective everything else on this list becomes. Add a generous pinch of freshly ground black pepper, about half a gram, to any warm drink, tea, the turmeric milk, or even warm water with lemon, and drink it right after grinding, since fresh ground pepper is meaningfully more potent than pre-ground pepper that's been sitting for months. The active compound, pepperine, dramatically increases how much of other beneficial compounds, like curcumin from turmeric, your body actually absorbs. But piperine isn't just a helper. Research has separately linked it to improved memory and reduced brain inflammation, making black pepper one of the rare spices that works both on its own and as an amplifier for everything around it. Last, but far from least, saffron for mood and memory. The most expensive spice in the world, used for more than 3,000 years from ancient Persia through ancient Greece, specifically for the mind and the mood. Take just 3 to 5 threads. A small amount goes a long way, since saffron is extremely potent, and steep them in 200 milliliters of warm water or warm milk for 10 minutes until the liquid turns a deep golden color. Add a small teaspoon of honey if you like, and drink it in the evening. Multiple human studies have compared saffron's effect on mood to standard interventions, with results researchers describe as genuinely notable, and it also shows promise supporting memory and cognitive function, making it one of the most studied natural options, specifically for brain health later in life. And yes, it's expensive per ounce, but because the effective dose is so small, 1 jar can realistically last for months. So how do you actually build all 7 into a real week without it becoming a part-time job? You don't need all 7 daily. Here's a realistic rhythm. Turmeric milk in the evening, 4 to 5 times a week for your joints. Cinnamon water each morning, daily for blood sugar. Ginger tea whenever digestion feels sluggish. Clove tea 3 to 4 times a week for liver and immune support. Garlic water each morning on an empty stomach, daily for your heart. Black pepper added to whatever warm drink you're already having, every single day, since it costs nothing extra and multiplies everything else. And saffron milk in the evening, 2 to 3 times a week for mood and memory. This isn't about flawless daily execution. It's consistency stacked over months, not intensity crammed into days. In weeks 1 and 2, expect subtle shifts, slightly smoother digestion, slightly steadier energy through the day. By weeks 3 and 4, many people notice better sleep, less stiffness in the morning, and a steadier mood. By month 2 and beyond is where the cumulative effect tends to show up clearly. More stable blood sugar, reduced markers of inflammation, and for a lot of people, a real noticeable sharpness in memory and mental clarity that friends and family start to comment on. One important note: if you're on blood thinners, both garlic and cloves have mild blood thinning properties. So that's a conversation to have with your doctor before making either a daily habit. And more broadly, if you're on any regular medication, it's always worth a quick check with your doctor before adding new spices consistently, especially at these more concentrated amounts. 7 spices, thousands of years of use across cultures that never spoke to each other, and now modern research quietly catching up to what people already understood long before laboratories existed. If something in this gave you an idea worth trying this week, hit subscribe and share it with a parent or grandparent who might genuinely benefit, and drop a comment telling us which of these spices you remember from your own family's kitchen growing up. We'd love to read them. Pick 2 or 3 to start with, build from there, and as always, talk to your own doctor before changing anything about your routine or supplements.